So today is the third and final instalment of my zebra danio breeding project. If you've missed the previous two videos, they are linked in the description below and also at the end of this video. Feel free to go and check them out because that is what covers the actual spawning and rearing of the young fish. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about what to do next. So, as you can see next to me, I have a tank full of zebra danios, and now they are getting to a really good size. I'm starting to be able to tell males and females apart inside them. And this just means that these are likely to be ready to find new homes, because obviously I'm not going to be able to keep all of these fish forever. Now, fortunately for me, a local shop of mine, Maidenhead Aquatics in Taunton, have kindly agreed to help me find homes for these fish. Obviously, these are not expensive fish. I'm not breeding these for profit, and I'm not going to get any money for them, but I do just want to make sure they're going to go to good homes, and a shop is much better at doing that than me advertising them online. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop this on time-lapse, and I'm going to be combing through each of these fish and picking out whether they are suitable for new homes yet or not, and any that I deem not suitable and they're too small just at the moment, they'll be taken upstairs to the more permanent home for the zebra danios. And now any that I find that have clear and obvious deformities, and I can see at least one with a very obvious jaw problem, it's not managing to close its mouth. And now it has actually grown to a good size, it's clearly eating and it's not suffering as such, but it's also not going to be a suitable fish to be passed on to anyone else. And unfortunately, part of breeding fish means you do have to, unfortunately, euthanize these individuals that have clear and obvious health issues. It's not pleasant. Nobody enjoys doing it, but it is important that everyone who wants to start a journey into fish breeding is aware of beforehand, because it can become quite a bit of a shock when you have to do it. Now, there are plenty of sort of chemicals on the market that are perfect for putting your fish to sleep. And now I absolutely recommend using these. They are far more appropriate than any of the more historic methods of putting your fish down. And I don't know if vets and stuff are able to do this for you as well, but you could always contact them if it's something that you don't want to do personally. But I'm not going to go into detail on that, but I did just want to mention it to make you all aware that this is part of fish breeding and something you should plan for. So yeah, let's go through these fish and move some of the small ones to save me some time on the weekend. So I've picked out all the small fish that I can, and they're now all in this jug. I'm going to take them upstairs now, and I'm going to start acclimatizing them, because this tank is not heated. It is only heated by the room temperature, whereas the one upstairs is heated to 24 degrees at the moment, because I give them a bit of summer temperature time. And this room I think is about 22 at the moment, so there is a slight difference in temperature. So I'm just going to float the jug in the top of the tank just for a half an hour spell, add a little bit of the water across, do a classic normal climatization process like you would when you buy fish from the shop, because these two tanks do differ slightly in water chemistry. Not very much, they all run on my tap water, so they're not far apart, but they are just slightly different, so I just want to make sure that there's no shock to these small fish. And then I'll be back on Saturday to film me trying to catch all of the remaining fish, pop them into bags, and then we'll head up to the fish shop and we'll see what they've got up there as well. So I'm just going to take the lids off of this tank so I can fit in the jug, and hopefully it won't overflow, and I just pop this in. Now I'm just going to leave them there. I'm going to add a bit of water across every now and then I'll release them into the tank with the others. Now there are adults in here as well, so they're still not going to get the complete full share of the food, but it's going to be better than competing with all of those fish downstairs. So they've been acclimatizing for a while now. Apologies, it's getting a bit dark now. It is getting a bit late, and the lighting in this room is horrendous. But the fish are now ready to release into this tank. So I'm just going to do that, and then that'll be it for tonight, and I'll come back on Saturday morning. So in they go, join their parents. Check they've all come out. And then put the covers back on to make sure the fish don't jump out. The tank is looking so good now. I really like how the plants have grown in finally. Took a long time. The wood stayed clear of algae for a while, and yeah, it's all looking good. The new guys are all shoaling at the top there, finding safety in numbers, and you can see some of the other juveniles I've brought up previously just to add more fish into this tank are now a really good size in here. So I really hope these guys catch up soon. So it's very early and all the lights in the fish room are still turned off. I've switched on the zebra danio tank so I can catch these fish out, and I've currently got the door propped open just to allow a little bit of natural light in to be able to film, but I don't want to wake all the other fish up and disturb their day-night cycle. So I'm going to start bagging up these fish, and then we're going to take a drive up to Maidenhead and drop them off and see what else they have. And I'm going to split these across several bags just to make sure that they have enough space and enough oxygen during the trip. It's only about half an hour, 45-minute drive. It's not far away, but I do just want to make sure they're packaged up well. So yeah, I got the bags ready last night, so I don't have to rummage around. So initially I'm going to take the cover slides off to make it easier. If I was just catching one or two fish, I might just slide it to one side, but when I'm trying to catch everything, I'm just going to take all of them off. It's going to give me a little bit more room to work. Hang that on the end and grab a bag. I'm going for a large one because there are going to be quite a few fish in there. And this one's actually already got taped up corners to save me a job today. And now when you're bagging up fish, I'm sure you're all aware from seeing people in fish shops to do it, you actually want more air than water. So you're thinking sort of about a third water, 2/3 air, just to make sure that there's plenty of oxygen in the bag and that they don't deplete it in the journey. So I'm going to try and catch out probably about half of them and then put them in this one and then do another bag for the second half. I think that's probably a good enough split. So that's a lot more than you'd normally put in a fish bag, but they're not going to be going very far, and they travel long distances when they're imported in much higher stocking densities than that. I always like to use sort of a two-net method when I'm catching lots of fish. I keep one quite stationary with my less dominant hand and use my dominant hand with a second net to gently guide the fish towards the stationary one. It generally causes the fish a little bit less stress. So you can just unroll the sides of the bag once you're done, and I like to lift it out. Now I actually like to have this floating in a tank normally because it supports the sides to be able to get a lot of air in the bag. You can see in here there is a lot of fish. I didn't count them in because that would just take me forever. So what I'm actually going to do, I'm going to take this down to a bucket of water I've got there and bag it up in that. So this bucket down here is just here to drip catch any drips from the hose, and also it allows me to purge out the hose before filling up tanks. And what I want to do, got my elastic band ready, open out the bag as wide as possible, and then very quickly, while it's floating, trap all the air in. and then you can just spin it. And then that is how you get really good tight bags that aren't going to move around in transport. Pop it back in so it floats. The last band off your wrist. Wrap it around the bag a few times. Then I like to bend the bag over. And then wrap it back around that as well. Just gives you extra protection. And there we have a tight filled bag with the right amount of air and water. You can see it's about a third water and 2/3 air. And that is that bag done. Now I'll leave that. I mean, I could just leave it there floating, but I'm just going to put it in a bucket out here because I'm going to use this for the second bag. When it comes to netting fish, they do get stressed as you go, and the longer you try to net them for, the more stressed and the more difficult it is going to be for you to catch them. So sometimes it is a good idea to stop, walk away, and come back later on once they've settled down again. In this instance, I just went and grabbed a bigger net because it's about the width of the tank and they can't swim past it, and it just made it much easier to catch the remaining few fish. I also removed some of the larger botanicals. So that is my 2 bags of fish bagged up. Here is the second one. Exactly the same. Filled it 1/3 water, 2/3 air. Now I'm just going to pop them both in this bag if they fit. And then I'm going to put them into a polystyrene box to keep them dark and warm, even though it's a very warm day today. And I'll carry them to the car and off we'll go. Got back from dropping the zebra danios off to the fish shop. I did pick up some fish as well, so straight after finishing this video I will be recording another one all about the new fish that I picked up, because it's not really related to this video. I want to keep them separate, but I have just seen that there is in fact one danio left in this tank, which is a little frustrating, but it's okay because I've obviously got a whole tank full of them upstairs. So I'm just going to catch this fish out and take him back upstairs. But otherwise, that is the end of this video and the end of my zebra danio breeding project. I'm going to keep the sort of their biotope inspired tank going for a little while longer, but it was never planning to be a permanent fixture in my fish tank collection. So I do have plans to relocate it to a new area of the house where it's going to get looked at a little bit more, because currently it's in a spare bedroom that nobody ever really looks in, and because I'm going to be moving it, I'm going to have to take it down anyway, and it's a good opportunity for a rescape and to do something completely different. So look out for that. It's not going to be done for a few months, but that is definitely going to be in the works. In the meantime, this guy's going to go and join the rest of them upstairs to grow up to adults, and then they'll be rehomed as well when I change up what I'm doing with that tank. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll speak to you in a minute when I start sorting out the new fish.